We are live with the Total Human Optimization podcast from Whole Foods Market Flagship, the mothership, baby, where Whole Foods began, the genesis, the origin. And this is really cool, and I appreciate all you guys out there, a bunch of you standing, a bunch of people listening, and we're just gonna get up here and try and be a service to you, because that's what it's about. It's about reciprocity. You guys are bringing your love, you're bringing your attention to us, and hopefully we'll do the same to you and continue this feedback loop, because that's what it's all about. But I'd like to welcome my brother, Joe Rogan.
Hello, everybody. This is the strangest line ever. This is probably one of the worst setups ever for somebody watching something. So thank you all for being uniquely cool.
Indeed.
Because it's terrible. This is ridiculous. Especially anybody more than like 8 rows back, or anybody as short as I am. Just not a lot there for you.
We'll just have to bring it. That's all we could do. So I wanted to open this up by saying that, life is a series of different choices. And we're in all of you guys chose to be here. There's a bunch of stuff going on for South by. We're in a store right now that provides choices about what we put in our body. Every second of every day, we make choices that will determine the quality of our life. That's what life is. It's a series of these different choices. And so I wanted to kind of go in and jump off by starting in to talk about some of these choices and the difference, because a lot of times you can get stuck in momentum and lose that feeling of choice, lose that idea that, hey, I can decide what I want to do. I can decide everything, and you just kind of go along with the path. So, this is an excellent opportunity to kind of reflect on that.
Yeah, I think people are realizing today more than any time ever that it's important to put healthy shit in your body. I mean, your body relies on nutrients. It relies on healthy food. And places like Whole Foods, the reason why these places are so popular is because you can get stuff that's really good for your body. So we're excited to be here. We're excited to have Onnit launch at the Whole Foods flagship. So this is a very important moment for us. Although this is a weird way to do it, this strange podcast, this receiving line to nowhere, but it's very important to us, and it's very important to us that you guys come out for this. It means a lot.
Absolutely. And so of course, and we'll get into some of these choices more about the nutrients and the things that we can put in, but another one of the inputs that you put in are the psychological inputs, the emotional inputs that you put in your body. Everything, if you really think about it, can be quantified in this kind of cost-benefit analysis. Like, what is the pleasure that I'm getting from a Twinkie or a McDonald's burger? Well, the pleasure is going to go and it's going to tickle some taste buds in your mouth, and that's going to feel pretty good. And then it's going to trigger a few different hormones and some things that may be kind of confusing in the body. But what's the cost of that? And weighing that mouth pleasure with the cost of what's happening with your body versus, all right, maybe it's something that your body's not used to. Maybe it's a kale shake. The famous, infamous Hulk loads shake. Maybe that's it. And it doesn't taste that great. But then you look at that, all right, once it passes through this little part of our mouth and that little mouth pleasure signal ends, then the benefits start to come. And so once you start looking at things in this kind of cost-benefit framework, you can really start to guide your life in a different way.
Yeah, I think it's all about establishing good patterns, and it's very hard for people to find good patterns. It's very hard for people to say, okay, I do yoga every Monday and Wednesday now, and I just make myself do it. It's very hard to say, all right, now I'm going to drink water and I'm not going to drink soda. But those decisions, if you can make them, if you can write it down, if you could stick with them, they make gigantic leaps in the benefits for your body and for your mind and for the way you feel about things. You feel like you're doing the right thing for your life, as opposed to just like, shit, I ate Twinkies again. That
right.
Feeling that we've all had, where you just stop at Carl's Jr. at 2 o'clock in the morning and you go, like for that brief moment, it seems like the thing to do. And then for hours afterwards, you got to make some changes in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of the Epicureans. So back in ancient Rome, they had a ton of time, like tons of time, because a lot of them didn't work. The aristocrats, the wealthy didn't work. So they figured out the best ways to spend their life, and different schools developed. The Stoics were about, working towards a goal, and that's what they would dedicate their whole lives to. And then there was the hedonists that was just, they created these vomitoriums where they would eat all the food they could, and then they'd puke, and then they'd eat more food, and they'd bring in more girls and boys and whatever they could to try and maximize the pleasure. But that didn't really work. So another school came together, and they were the Epicureans. And what they figured out is that moderation in all things, including moderation, was the way to go. Like the way to be happiest. So have simpler meals, spend good quality time with friends, maybe a glass of wine here or there. Don't go crazy, except for occasionally on that one random blowout where you expand you expand the spectrum of what's possible.
From what I understand, vomitoriums, with the actual term vomitorium is actually, we're confusing it. We confuse it with the word vomit, like throw up. It's actually the passageway when you have a coliseum to go underneath the stairs, like where everybody leads out and leads through. So it's not like I don't necessarily know.
Gladiators out.
I don't necessarily think they had a room where they threw up in. I think that might be something that somebody has actually kind of added on in history and it's become urban myth.
I think they definitely puked because I used to read some of the Latin and they would eat and puke. But maybe not in the vomitorium.
They probably didn't like schedule it and have a room for it. They probably just went outside.
They probably had a person holding their hands open and just puked in it. They were freaks.
Yeah, they probably, at least one guy did that. One guy made somebody hold his puke, for sure.
For sure. Well, in that philosophy then, if you have this kind of general program of good choices, doing things that are healthy for your body, but don't be like a religious nut about it. Don't make it your religion so that you can't go out and taste, oh, Hop Dottie's got a new burger. That's a famous burger place out there. Like, man, I'm going to try that today. And it's cool, you know, because generally I've made so many good choices that getting this experience in my life is going to be worth it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of hedonists, though. I'm a fan of dudes who really ruin their life and have a very short run and blow everything out. Like some of my favorite people wrecked their body over a very short period of time. Sam Kinison, Hunter Thompson. You know, Hunter Thompson got to a certain point in time, he's like, this ain't working anymore. Boom, and he blew his brains out. He did acid, drank every day of his life, did coke pretty much every day of his life, and then broke the whole thing and said, we're good. Wrote a bunch of great books and said, I'm out of here. And I mean, that's okay too. No one's telling you what to do. And if you want to do that, I'll probably love your books. But for you personally, if you want to if you want to feel better, if you want to be more comfortable with your life, if you want to have a better experience, you're better off taking care of your meat ship, you know, and so few people are educated in that throughout school or through your household. It's rare that people grow up with parents that are really into health and nutrition and exercise and also like mitigating stress and teaching you how to be more present and how to deal with things in a better way, and kind of understanding that the way you approach and the way you look at things oftentimes changes the experience.
Yeah.
And having podcasts like this and the things that people have access to now on the internet, whether it's documentaries or whether it's YouTube videos or thoughtful blogs that people write, those are really important for us. And I think those are changing the way human beings think about life. And I think it's happening really radically, and it's happening over a very short period of time. Whereas when I was a kid, there was none of this available, and you just had to kind of like hope you found someone that knew cool shit and ask that guy questions, and most of the time he was just lying. Right. You know, you really, it was hard to get real information, and now it's hard to get away from it. I mean, it's just constantly inundating us, and it's changing us. And Onnit is a reflection of that. I think Onnit, the company, is a reflection of how that information has changed Aubrey and myself, about how our input into it has changed the people that have been a part of it. And one of the things that we really wanted to do with Onnit is not just have really healthy foods, not just have really good strength and conditioning equipment, but also have a lot of inspiration. Because I find a lot of inspiration online. It's one of the, I think inspiration is a fuel, and I think it's very important to go out and get. It's very important to go out and seek. I look for it every day. I look for it. I have very specific websites that I go to. I have very specific people that I talk to. I want to be inspired. It gives me energy. It is fuel. And it's a big part of what we try to do at Onnit. We want to provide that fuel. And we provide it to everybody. It doesn't cost you anything to get to the Onnit Academy link. It's all there, and we try to add to it. And Aubrey tries to add to it with his podcast, and I try to add to it with mine. And I think we owe all of each other. We owe a duty to spread what has benefited us.
Yeah, no doubt. And inspiration is, once you start tracking it, you can see it in so many places. You know, once you're open to viewing that from that lens, it starts to appear everywhere. You know, we show examples of these incredible athletes doing these incredible feats, but every day at the gym, you know, you'll see somebody pushing that little bit extra in a set, And then that shows you like, man, that person's getting it today. I'm going to get it today. And so it builds this kind of momentum that starts to grow. You know, when you surround yourself with people who are really laying it out there, like pushing, and then you're like, all right, I see how it goes. And then it ups your game. And so it feeds off each other. Whereas you can, of course, get caught in these negative cycles where it's this FML, blah, 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 this negativity dampening everything. And you'll start to go in that cycle. So it's one of the things you say the most, surrounding yourself with an environment where that momentum can feed you even further.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things about today, as opposed to when I was young, is that you don't have to even surround yourself with those people. You can get that online. You can get that from a number of different sources. And then you can form communities through that. You know, you meet people through that, and then that becomes the people that you surround yourself with, and that becomes the fuel to sort of inspire you and move forward in your life. This has nothing to do with vitamins.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying.
So and you see that actually, but you know, you see that in a store like Whole Foods compared to like when you're going to check out at Walmart. They've created this kind of environment that's attracted a certain amount of people, and the team itself reflects that, you know, and so you have it has a different vibe. There's an energy here, like there's an energy at Onnit, like there's an energy that's co-created when people kind of gather around it. They're attracted to it, and other people who have a different energy, they get expelled, they get ejected. And I'm sure, I haven't talked to the Whole Foods guys very much, but I'm sure those people come in and all of a sudden they find themselves like, whoa, I don't fit here. It doesn't make sense. That energy doesn't work. Or they shift, you know, and they become a part of it, and that starts to feed them, and that starts to grow.
Yeah, and I think the inescapable reality of a lot of this information is starting to change things. Like we were talking today about McDonald's. They're toying around with the idea of introducing kale shakes, which is crazy. Like McDonald's is like one of the least healthy places ever. They're going to give you a really healthy option. But that's because people want it and they want to make money. And if it becomes the only way to make money is to sell healthy things, it's going to slowly start to shift in that direction. The more people avoid bad choices, the more good choices are going to be available, because people, these machines, these businesses and corporations still want to profit. We have this idea in our head that they can only profit by doing bad. They can only profit by providing shitty food in a really gross way that ruins the environment. But that's not necessarily true. That's just the model that existed and developed without the internet. And because the internet's available now, I think that model's changing. I think it's got to change in politics. It's changing with the introduction, the legalization of marijuana in a bunch of different states. People are understanding what people expect is different now than what they expected before information was available.
Totally. And so a lot of times the most pessimistic aspect that people have about our society are these institutions, politics, big corporations. People get super pessimistic about them, and they think that attacking them head on is going to make a difference, when really what's going to make a difference is the groundswell of people demanding something else. You want to have Monsanto change their practices? Then have every single person demand that they're eating non-GMO products. And guess what? Monsanto may not die, although they probably deserve to go out of existence. That won't be what happens. They'll adapt, and all of a sudden they'll have to meet the market in a way that allows them to survive. Even the worst of our institutions will change when the people demand it, as we're seeing with McDonald's, as we're even seeing with the Catholic Church and how much more moderate they're getting. That's an old institution of fire and brimstone for much of its history. And now the Pope's like, yeah, we're cool with gay people. Welcome to our congregation. They're changing because the demands of the world are changing, and they want to survive. They want to stay an institution. Politics will do the same. The key is that when the people demand it, the self-sustainability, self-reliance of these institutions will change as well. Yeah,
and I think especially in terms of things like GMOs, people have this either or idea that it's either evil or it's good, and it could be either one. GMOs are important for third world countries. It's important for getting food to people that don't have them. It's important. If you look at most of the food that we have when it comes to vegetables, most of it has been modified. It's just been modified for decades, and not necessarily in a lab. It's not like they're splicing genes or adding elephant genes to your tomatoes, but there's weird shit has gone on forever. That's why corn doesn't look like that stuff that you hang on your door for Thanksgiving. It's been engineered, and our ideas about it is that it's all evil because it's all for profit. And it's not necessarily so either, because there's a lot of things that get engineered because it's very difficult to get food to certain areas without it going bad. And I think it's one step in a direction that's going to lead to people just looking more objectively at all the various aspects of our society, whether it's politics, whether it's where our food comes from, whether it's who's distributing our information, whether it's what kind of laws do we have and why are these laws in place and why are people getting fined for certain things, and all these things are changing.
I think the inherent mistrust that people have is they know the nature of these organizations that are creating these. They're doing it solely for profit. There's no faith in the consciousness of these different individuals that they're making choices that are going to benefit people rather than benefit themselves. And I think that's where people's mistrust has come. But when the people, when the people demand something different, then the organizations will evolve or die. That's like natural selection. When the environment no longer supports you, you evolve or you die.
And I think most of you probably already know this, so this is like duh. Like this whole conversation is kind of duh, but it has to be reiterated. These sort of things have to be repeated over and over again until they become almost like the norm. This is the way people look at it. Like in order to make profit, you don't have to be evil. In order to genetically modify food, it doesn't have to be bad for everybody. In order to have a store like this that is huge and makes a lot of money, it can actually sell really healthy food. And all these things are possible. And our ideas of capitalism, our ideas of these structures, they're all going to change.
People use like this, they oversimplify things, and they like to put things in category. This bad, this good, and really, the truth is that there's little good kernels and little bad kernels in everything, in everybody, in every institution, in everything you do. There's a mix. And the skill of the seer, someone who can see, is to be able to see the good, see the bad, take the good, ditch the bad.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. So I don't know how much longer we could do this without it being unbelievably boring. So what we want to do is we want to get you guys to ask questions, and there's obviously no way to do this organized. So if you have a really fucking stupid question, keep that shit to yourself. So you know who you are. You know who you are. Hold your tongue. But if you got a good one, raise your hand. Do you know what raise your hand means, sir? You yeller. You fucking yeller. How about you, buddy? You got your hand up. Discipline, son. How do you make good choices? What he said, if you didn't hear. How do you make good choices with food if you get the munchies? Just leave only good food in your house, man. Have an apple. Get high and eat an apple. They're awesome.
Or a pear.
Yeah,
if you're getting
pears
crazy.
are delicious.
A pear.
Have
you
some
ever had a
watermelon.
pear when you're high? Or a mango? Try that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's just a matter of not allowing yourself to have bad choices. And it's way easier said than done, because those things, they trigger responses in your brain. All the sugar and all the carbohydrates and all the stuff that's not good for your body, for whatever reason, it makes your brain excited for a very short period of time. But it's very, very self-destructive. But again, not bad every now and again. It's just a matter of giving yourself the opportunity to keep your diet as clean as possible and then eventually go off the rails. You right there, buddy. His question was, how do you convince your parents who don't believe in all the science of food? Is that what you mean? You can't. You can't convince people of anything. If they want to listen to you, if they want to take in the information, then you can have a conversation with them. But it's almost worthless to try to convince someone that doesn't want to hear it. It's a waste of your time. You're just going to waste effort. Just live your life and make a good example. You live your life in a healthy way, and they'll go, well, look, check this dude out, It seems like it's working out. Like, when you see someone who, I have a friend, and he's the one who got me on kale shakes. Kevin James, the actor, he got fat again. For a while, he got skinny. And what he did was he started drinking these kale shakes every morning, and he started eating almost all vegetables. That was entirely his diet, and just a small amount of protein, mostly fish. And his body just shrunk. He had all this energy. He started feeling great. And I said, wow, what an amazing, inspirational thing. And that's what started me doing it. He stopped and went back to cheeseburgers and pizza, but I stayed on it. I never had a weight issue, but just from the health, just a vitality thing, like the impression that I got from him was like, this is pretty amazing, seeing his body respond to this overwhelming supply of nutrients he was giving it. He had so much energy. He just felt better. He said he just was bouncing around, almost didn't know what to do with himself because of all the energy that he was having. Because he lost like 70 pounds. So live by example, lead by example. And you can't convince people. It's a waste of time.
That's exactly what I experienced with my parents, actually, because, you know, if many of you who know me know that I go on these spiritual journeys, and I've been trying to instill that in my parents who have very little bit of that in their background. And I tried for 10 years, a decade. I would tell them about these things. I would explain. I would show them studies. They didn't care. They didn't give a shit about any of that. And then one day I came over to their house fresh off a trip to Peru, and I just sat there. And they started looking at me like, what the hell is going on? Like, you are on another level right now. And I was like, yeah, I feel the best I've ever felt in my life. How are you guys? You know, and I didn't try to bring anything to them. I had no motivation other than to just be. And they saw that. And all of a sudden, that same day, they were booking a trip to Peru. And I'm like, what the hell? I've been telling you guys for 10 years.
People don't like other people telling them what to do because everybody wants to think they're smarter than everybody around them. So when you start telling someone, man, you need to quit smoking, like, bitch, I'm not getting cancer. They resist you. It's like one of the reasons why people don't like to do things that they know they need to do, because they associate it with work, and they associate work with pain. They associate it with a lack of pleasure. They associate that with someone having authority over you or someone having information over you. So it's very difficult unless someone comes to you with an open mind and really wants to know. It's very difficult to convince people. You with the white shirt, fella. Hemp protein, hemp oil, and Onnit products.
Yeah. So hemp protein is a protein that we chose for a couple of different reasons. One is it's a complete protein. So that's an issue with all vegetarian proteins, that animal protein has a complete amino acid profile. Many plant proteins do not. Hemp does. And in addition to that, the two compounds in it are adestin and albumin, and those are also found in human muscle. So it's very bioavailable. It's really easy for the body to break that down, that protein source, and translate that back to muscle, which means an easier load on your GI tract. And that's one of the first things that we notice is if you're drinking muscle milk, you know, you're going to gas out for the next 3 hours. It's just the fact of the matter. But if you're drinking a hemp shake, then everything gets absorbed in a way. Maybe the protein yield isn't so high, like, bro, I need 45 grams. Well, how much of that grams are you getting into your body? Maybe not that many. And most of it's going out in gas out your ass. So, you know, the hemp was a choice that we made for that reason. And then, of course, on the other side, you have the benefits of CBD. And a lot of good research coming out there on anti-anxiety, anti-spasm, neurogenesis, really a lot of frontiers in the health benefits of the cannabidiols as well. So a really interesting product. And, of course, the female plant has another whole host of benefits as well.
I think it's also very important to support the consumption of hemp. I think it's a miracle plant. I really do. I think it's an amazing commodity in a lot of ways, not just as a food, but also, I mean, it's an amazing commodity to be using as cloth. It's amazing in so many ways. The oil is amazing. There's so many different uses for that plant, and it's demonized. And I think the more we can shed light on that, and the more we can kind of expose people to there's a lot of inaccuracies. People associate it. The reason why it's illegal is because it's associated with the female plant. It's associated with marijuana. And the more that changes, I think the better it is for everybody. It's really unfortunate, but to this day, we're still getting our hemp from Canada. And it's changing now. You're starting to see some states make it legal. But right now, the market, as far as legal hemp that you can buy in America, is very shaky. And if we get a Republican in office in 2016, it could be even shakier. I mean, we don't know. There's a lot of like pull and push when it comes to this stuff. They get attached to social issues, and it get attached to political parties, and it gets very complicated. So I think, in not just health-wise, but I think it's very important to support hemp itself as a plant. You with the fabulous beard, my friend. But For the folks at home, he said he wants to know about the food truck.
Yeah. So really, and this will answer an earlier question too. You know, Onnit is what we put up, and what you'll see all around the store is total human optimization. So that means a variety of things. I think all too often we get in that pharmaceutical mindset, like, what's that symptom? And let's narrowly, myopically look at that thing and point to it. Oh, you need this one thing, and that's going to make all the difference. Bullshit. You need a lot of things. You need to improve things across the board. So flotation tanks is a tool that both of us use, and Onnit's going to be involved in that. We just put our first tank in a shop in Minneapolis, so that's going to be part of it. The food truck, that's just another opportunity to provide really high quality nutrients, shakes, our blended coffees, which are delicious, some healthy meals, using some of our stuff, and some of it is just going to be healthy meals, and then roll that around and provide an opportunity that if you just want to stop off, get a really high quality hemp shake with some good MCT oil and a bunch of good stuff, you don't have to come to Onnit headquarters. There's another mobile place that we can do it. And we have it parked outside Black Swan Yoga right now. Another awesome thing to do. Go there, experience some yoga, finish it with a shake. I guarantee that's a choice you're not going to regret.
Yeah, the idea is, with the idea of total human optimization, really provide great things and try to provide those things in as many places as possible. Try to make it as accessible as possible, spread it out as possible. Come to people with a truck. You know, so that's it. You in the back, sir, with the fabulous hair. You, I'm looking at you, bitch. What's up? You gotta yell. You gotta yell! Can we play a game of telephone?
Yeah,
Someone in the middle?
I got it. He's talking about sourcing and supply chain.
Oh, okay.
So everything that we make, we track it back to it. We track it back to a source, and we make sure that we're using the best source that we can find. And this is an evolving process. There's new sources that come up. You know, I go to a big show every year. It's tens of thousands of people called Expo West. And I'll cruise around and I'll look for something. And you'll see this little booth and it'll have, this is the best moringa on the planet. And you're like, oh, okay, the best moringa on the planet. Let me learn about that. All right, that's going in our next round to EGN. Or this is the best ashwagandha on the planet because of these reasons and this clinical research. Okay, we're going to use this ashwagandha from this farm and this place. And we've done that with as many ingredients as possible, and we'll continue to do that to kind of improve and up the bar. We're never going to be perfect, but we're going to try to, every chance we get, make good choices that are going to benefit the people taking our products and just evolve and get better with every single thing we do. And that's just kind of how the program goes. And, you know, we're at a really good place now, but every year new things will come up. We're already talking to people who are producing hemp locally in the United States. They just don't have the quantities to make it worthwhile at this point. But we're always kind of searching the market for anything that might be an improvement to what we got.
And they might get raided.
Yeah,
we gotta be careful. You, buddy. Oh, someone who's getting into stand-up comedy, what's the number one recommendation? Just do it. You know, write some stuff down and just do it. There's no one can tell you how to do it. You got to do it. It's like there's so many different styles of comedy. Your style is going to be different than your best friend's style. It's just do it. Just do it, try it. You'll fail. Everyone fails. I failed. Everyone fails. You're going to suck horribly. It's brutally painful in the beginning. And then just keep doing it, and hopefully you'll get better. If not, quit. If you get to a certain point, you realize it's not getting any better, get out while you're still sane. But you just write things down, you know, and work at it, and watch a lot of comedy. That helps too. You know, watch a lot of different styles. Watch Mitch Hedberg, watch Richard Pryor, watch, you know, all the greats, and kind of get an idea. Why is this making me, you know, think about it. Write it down. Why is this making me laugh? You know, what is it about this guy that's so appealing? And then there's guys like Hicks who might not have been like the funniest, the most laughs, but like, why do I feel so good about watching it? Why is it so inspirational? Why does it stimulate my mind so much? And just, it's a long, bloody road, dude. It's ugly.
One of the things that I've noticed about people who are in comedy or people who are fighters is it does something beneficial for the individual, because you're putting yourself out there in a really raw form, you know, and in fighting, it's physical. You could get actually physically beat up and humiliated physically. And in comedy, you can get beat up and humiliated by the crowd, by that mocking silence of, when the jokes fall flat. And just being willing to put yourself out there to that vulnerability builds a certain character. And it's like the people I've met mostly through you, because it's fighting and comedy is such a strong, they have a certain strength of character about them that allows you to trust them on a little deeper level. Like, oh, they've been through some shit. They've seen their own demons. They've looked in that mirror. So even if you're not that funny, like the process of doing it will be a resistance that could be strengthening for you as an individual.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I always stress about martial arts is that besides the fact that it gives you confidence and it's good for your body and gets you fit, it also develops your character because it makes you overcome adversity on a daily basis. And I think that's something we need in this soft cubicle world that we live in, of sitting in our car, on our way to sit at our desk, on our way to sit at home on our couch and get up in the morning and do it all over again. I think we need more adversity to understand ourselves. We're on a very short ride. It's 90, 100 years if you're lucky. And most of the time you're looking around going, am I doing this shit right? And very few people are really confident that they are. And one of the best ways for developing your human potential is do something difficult. Find something really difficult and slowly get better at that thing. And it's uncomfortable. But those uncomfortable moments, they make you appreciate comfort more. When you work really hard, you can appreciate relaxation. When you just relax all day, you're just a lazy bitch. Sometimes that's good too. Do whatever you want to do. You, buddy. Five years from today, well, we would like to keep going on the same track. We would like, because of the access to information that we have today, we are always getting new data in. We were working with a new thing today we can't really totally talk about, but there's this new strength and conditioning equipment today that we're working with that's been developed out of Japan. Like really game-changing stuff. And these types of things are coming up on almost a daily basis now. Everything is increasing at this really wild exponential rate. It's very exciting to be a part of it. I would never want to predict where we're going to be in 5 years, but I guarantee you we're going to be on the same path. We're going to be we have a very clear ethic. The clear ethic is provide people with the best things that we can possibly find. Give people the opportunity to have access to all the things that we enjoy and use and that benefits us. And I think as long as we continue with that idea and that ethic and that mindset, we'll continue to have a company that people enjoy. We'll continue to have a place where people can go and we know that you're going to get some benefit out of it.
We've set kind of our frequency, if you wanted to use that analogy. We've set a frequency at a certain level, and we're going to stay at that frequency, and it's just going to be a matter of amplitude, how much we can put behind that, the volume we can put behind that frequency, and then it's going to be a matter of how well that resonates with the culture. I mean, the culture is shifting in what we believe into line with that frequency, and you can see it in all of these trends. And so how fast that happens, that we'll see if our frequency will find the right resonance where it really starts to take off. And that's just the question. But as Joe said, we have the frequency. We know what our guiding principles are, our guide stars are, and everything else will fall into that. It's just a matter of amplitude.
And it seems easier and easier to find other people that are also on that same sort of frequency. It seems easier and easier to find people that are in tune with this, that also want to be a part of something like this, that also want to they just want to do something that has a positive impact. And so we'll continue to keep hiring more people that are along those same lines. And as long as we don't hit a point of diminishing returns where we're like, now it's gotten watered down. Like here, perfect example, my friend Shane Smith, who runs Vice.com, started Vice.com. It was a magazine, and then it became this internet thing, and now now it's this gigantic billion-dollar corporation. And he told me, he's like, I don't know anybody anymore. I don't know the people who are writing stories. They write stories and I read them and I get furious. There's all these bullshit articles that we put out because I've kind of lost a grip on it a little bit. And it's frustrating to him. I think it's very important that we never hit that. It never gets away from us, and then it goes out into other people's ideas of what it should be. I think as long as we stay within the parameters of the ethics that we have sort of really stuck by and really pushed from the beginning, we'll be okay.
And that's a matter of just discipline too. That's not eating the McDonald's cheeseburger when you see like, oh, there's some millions over there.
Right.
Maybe we should grab them at the expense of the greater good. And I think And that's, that's really what it is. And I have a lot of confidence in both of our ability to have that discipline when the time comes. So, I'm ready.
We do enough drugs that we'll stay on track. You, ma'am. That's a very good point. What she said, for the folks at home that can hear, how do you make healthy eating acceptable, or accessible rather, to people that don't make as much money? Grow your own food is the best way. I had Ron Finley on my podcast recently. That he's a great guy who is spreading this idea of using patches of land, even the medians in the roads in horrible areas in downtown LA and in Watts and Compton, and he's growing vegetables there, and he gets the community involved, and everyone's growing their own food. And he's like, you can grow a lot of food in a very small area, and there's a lot of places that aren't being used for that. Seeds don't cost that much money. It's not that difficult to take care of, and it's something that I think with guys like Ron Finley, one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on the podcast and talk to him, I'm very excited about people that are pushing that sort of a grassroots idea to help people make healthy choices with the least amount of money involved possible. And I think that the more you push these ideas, and the more you try to push in your own life positive choices, the more you're going to be able to have enough money to do what you need to do as far as take care of your body and live in a healthy manner. And if you're not, you just need to figure out how to adjust your choices and get to that spot. It's not about getting rich. It's about getting to a point where you can exist in a healthy way and it doesn't kill you doing so.
Yeah, I think everything is a matter of prioritizing resources. And when you start to see the value of some of these choices, then that value goes up in relation to the cost of doing it. And so it becomes easier to bring that into your life. But I really like what you were saying, and I didn't get a chance to listen to that podcast, but I read a book about a utopic future, and it's called The Fifth Sacred Thing. I highly recommend it. And in that book, it was this area of San Francisco that they created this utopic community, and that's exactly what it was. Instead of little decorative plants, oh yeah, that plant looks good. What's it good for? Well, nothing really. It's just a plant. Well, take that and grow chard in that spot. All right, maybe the chard isn't as pretty. It gets little holes because the bugs like to eat it. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But you know what? Anybody can go around and pick that off and have something healthy to eat. All of this stuff, surrounding us constantly is soil that is growing things, and spreading seeds that actually have food that people could eat. That's a future that's very possible,
Yeah, I think it's a matter of adjusting our ideas and adjusting our priorities too. Very few of us grow our own food, but we all live in these weird communities where very few of us even know our neighbors. If we had communities and we all agreed, hey, this plot of land, we'll all pitch in and we'll all grow food and we'll have enough vegetables for the entire, X amount of people that live in this area. That's entirely possible. That's not asking people to go to Mars. That's like really simple stuff that's been done before. And I think it can be done again. And I think if people decided to organize these community groups where you start growing your own food, it would substantially reduce your produce budget.
Imagine you have a neighbor that's, fairly wealthy. They got a big plot of land, right? They don't have any time. They have no skill at growing stuff. And you approach them and you say, hey, would you mind if I set up a garden that will feed both me and you on this little plot of land? I bet a lot of people, especially here in Austin, would be like, yeah, that'd be awesome. You set up the garden, I'll get some food, you get some food, you use my land, and that could work. But the problem is, as you said, we're too solipsistic, we're too isolated, so we don't have that discourse. We don't consider it like a human tribe that's for the benefit of all, for the good of all.
It's got to become a trend. It's got to be like sagging jeans. Once it gets out there, you can't stop it. I just think it's a good idea. It's a good idea to grow your own food. So that's a very good question. What's up, buddy? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Talk to Abby Martin, Fifth Connections Internet.
I think is what he was saying is the connection on the internet, is that going to trump violent tendencies and all the different trends that have existed before? Without a doubt. I think this is the safest time to live ever. You know, one of the things that always kills me is when people go, man, I would never want to bring up a kid in this world. Like why? The safest time ever? Like, why wouldn't you bring a kid up today when we have medicine and hospitals and the internet? Well, kids lived in the dark ages. You know, kids lived in caves. Like, we have always tried as a species to progress. We've always tried to improve. It's part of what humans are. We want to do better. We want to have, you know, whatever it is. We want to have faster processors, cars that are more gas efficient. We're constantly trying to make things better. The internet is allowing us to understand what we want and what we don't want in a culture. What we want, we don't want in a society. And the reaction today to police violence, the reaction today to war, it's unprecedented. The way we shut down the idea of going to Syria. Obama came on television and said, we're about to go to Syria. And everyone went, fuck that. And it stopped. Where's the rumblings to go to Syria? It doesn't exist because public outcry. And this is a very unique time when it comes to things like that. It's a very unique time because there's never been a time in human history where everyone can express their opinion so easily. And I think that we're understanding how we all feel about this, and it's shaping our ideas. And because of things like documentaries and podcasts and internet blogs and all the things that we discussed earlier, those are also helping to inform us and helping us to realize that there's other choices, that we don't have to live the way everyone has lived before, that the momentum of the past, it's not necessary that we continue along the same lines. If you get all these people together, how come we can get 500 people like this and we're not at war? Why aren't we killing each other? How come no one's robbing? I see no rape. I've seen all you guys for an hour. No one's raped anybody. How come we can't just sustain that? Well, fuck, we can. We can. We just have to keep it going. And we have to reinforce it. Like we were talking, I was saying that like a lot of the stuff we're saying, I know you all agree with it, is kind of duh. But get that duh out there over and over again so it becomes, I pledge of allegiance to the flag. You know what I mean? So it becomes something, you don't have to say I pledge of allegiance. Shit, we all know it by heart. Why do I have to say it every morning? You say it every morning because you want to reinforce it. You want to bury it into people's minds. And I think that that's what's happening right now. And I think we're all a part of it. And we're way more aware than anybody ever was at our age 30, 40 years ago. This is an insane time in human history. And I think when historians look back, this is going to be a time where they all look back in amazement and wonderment. So much more important than the invention of the wheel, so much more important than printed type. I think this is the greatest time ever for the distribution of ideas and for the distribution of information.
I agree with that. Hell yeah. Yeah, well, when you tap in, you can feel it. You can feel how exciting this time is that we live. And so many people get so bummed out, but that's a choice too. You can also choose to be inspired. You can choose to have that feeling about what can come and what we can be a part of bringing. I mean, you can look to another future where everything's idyllic and you have no resistance and everything's easy. Or do you want to be in the fight? Do you want to be one of those people that are remembered for being part of this movement, for driving it forward, for digging your cleats in the ground and pushing along with everybody else to make these changes? I'll choose this time any fucking day.
Yeah, this is a great time. We're super lucky.
This gentleman here.
Texas House Bill 557. You're giving a shout out to Texas House Bill 5. Whenever white people give shout outs, it's very problematic. But so, they're making it legal in the state of Texas. Or it's oh, that's awesome. Like it should be legal. It's not psychoactive. It's ridiculous that hemp is illegal. Yeah. Well, it's a commodity, and that's where the real, well, you get to see with hemp, you get to see where the real political struggle is. There's people that own businesses that would be in competition with hemp that are trying to keep hemp from being legalized. It has nothing to do with safety. It has nothing to do with, even if they have a problem with people getting stoned, that's not even an issue. There's no issue. There's nothing there, yet it's still illegal. Yet you're still having people that are being represented by special interest groups and large corporations that would benefit from keeping it illegal that are trying to find some way to spin it. And it's beautiful that Texas is an independent place. You guys are bad motherfuckers. You should have had weed legal in the 1800s. It should have never went illegal here.
Indeed. We'll take maybe one more question and wrap this up.
You, buddy. Recent studies about the supplement industry as a whole and how dishonest it is that it's definitely, there's some truth to it. There's a lot of supplements that are dishonest. There's a lot of people that are trying to profit off of people trying to improve their life. That's 100% fact. But there's also a lot of companies that want to tell you that vitamins don't benefit you. Dr. Rhonda Patrick, who I've had on my podcast many times, who is an expert in the mechanisms of vitamin absorption in the body and what the benefits are and what studies have been done on that, has really illuminated me and a lot of other people as to how many benefits there are to not just supplements, but to what foods you take into your body and what treatments you give to your body, whether it's cryotherapy or the sauna or many different things that aren't going to profit, or no one's going to profit off of them, that are people that are selling pharmaceutical drugs or people that would stand to make money off of demonizing supplements or demonizing, alternative healthcare ideas. But without a doubt, there's some truth to it. And it's like we were talking about with GMOs. It's not that it's all bad or all good. There's definitely some people selling snake oil. There's definitely some bullshit out there. And it's one of the reasons why at Onnit, we've gone way out of our way to do double-blind, placebo-controlled studies, especially on alpha brain. When you tell people that you're going to give them something that's going to make their brain work better, it's like, all right. Right. It sounds retarded. But then when you Google nootropics and you Google the studies and you find out things about nutrients and the effect on memory, you realize, well, there's got to be something to that. And so we went way out of our way to make sure that we have a research tab for every single product that we sell. We show you, this is why we believe this works, and these are the studies that we've done on these things, and this is what we've shown you. We also have gone way out of our way to give you a 100% money-back guarantee. You don't have to return the product. You buy 30 pills, you have 90 days. You don't like it, just say this sucks, you get your money back. And very few people use that. And the reason why is because it's good. We don't want you to feel bad about it. But there's a lot of people out there that are just trying to capitalize on people's need to improve themselves. This idea that you could buy a pill that's going to make you lose weight. Those crazy things you see in the middle of the night. Or those weird infomercials that are pretending they're a talk show. You're like, what the fuck am I watching? I'm going to wear a copper bracelet and all of a sudden I can run? Like, what? All that shit exists. And you should be skeptical. And you've got some unique insight into the supplement industry. Sure. and how these studies are sort of formulated and what's wrong with them. And you actually wrote something about it. So.
Yeah. I think that, that recent study that came out, they basically tested a lot of low-level vitamins in a variety of different big box stores, GNC, Walmart, and they found that those didn't even contain the vitamins in. And I love when I hear, in some levels, I love when I hear about that kind of thing because it's transparency, laying out on and catching people who are doing things the wrong way. That process is beautiful. It's beautiful that people can hear about that. What is also on the other side of it, though, is the media's desire and love, because look at who's paying for a lot of the ads. Let's just be honest. A lot of the ads that you see all the time are about some new drug or new thing. There's a lot of leverage there. And so when the media gets, for whatever reason, I'm just speculating that might be a contribution, but they get a negative story about supplements, they love it. They run with it. We've done, again, double-blind, placebo-controlled studies on alpha brain showing dramatic improvements to cognitive health, and the media is like, okay, whatever. But then there's one study that came out that said multivitamins don't work to prevent heart attack, and these are some cheap-ass, bullshit multivitamins, and it gets carried by everybody.
Well, not only that, explain the study. The study was like men over 65 that have already had heart attacks.
Yeah.
Good luck fixing that fucking broken ship.
Right.
You're not going to take a multivitamin and fix a dude over 65 that has been pouring shit into his body his entire life, living with stress, probably drinking, smoking cigarettes. Oh, a multivitamin didn't save him. This stuff must be bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like a holistic approach to your entire life is necessary to sort of revamp everything. A multivitamin is not going to do it.
Yeah, so what that shows is that there's manipulation by the mainstream media sources, but generally information in itself is a treasure. All information is good and should be valued, and this was information, so that's great. But just be wary of how it gets spun and how it gets proliferated, and look for the data, look for the research, look for the people who you trust, and follow that.
It's also, people love clickbait. They love saying, it turns out vitamins don't work. You know, they love those stories. So then your dad can send them to you. Hey, I told you. Told you, kid. You fucking smart ass. People love calling bullshit. But if you found out that celery cured cancer, nobody would even talk about it. You know, there's very little profit in that. You're not going to see it in USA Today. It's one of those things. People love calling bullshit, and it's important. It's an important aspect of us. We need to know when things are truthful and when they're not, and it's important to be skeptical.
Indeed.
One more question? You with the hood, my friend. Is your head cold? Is that what you have that on? Sorry. Okay, your arms are good. Favorite Onnit tool? Oh, as far as strength and conditioning, I love kettlebells. They're just fun to use. If you've never worked out with them before, it's a cannonball with a handle on it. It's just you do all these full body movements, and it's fun. I like it. That's my favorite. Plus, I'm into Russians, so I get excited about it.
So I really want to thank all you guys. This has been truly, truly
You guys
amazing.
are troopers. This is amazing
awesome.
that you stayed here and listened to our drivel.
And I also want to mention,
We appreciate you guys very much. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, everybody. And Onnit supplements are 30% off for this weekend here in Whole Foods. You're not going to get a better deal online. You're not going to get a better deal ever. I don't even know how they convinced us to do it. So if you want to get some Onnit stuff, get it here right now, and it's a great place to do it.
All right. Good night. See ya.
Yeah, everybody. Thank you.